Okay everyone, it's Mike here, and after the success of my kayaking video the other week, I thought I'd do a little bit more exploring. So I am out here in Wales today, and I'm going to be doing a bit of a walk. We're going to through in a minute. I'm just going to take you through, and we're going to go for a bit of a wander and see what we find when we head out and about. So, without any further ado, let's get trekking. Yeah, so my route today is near the coastal town of Talyllyn on the mid Wales coast. We're up in the Nant Gwernol forest, which is about 7 miles inland, at the far end of the Talyllyn Railway, and the route starts from Abergynolwyn Station on the railway and is a circular loop up to Bryn quarry up in the mountains. It uses a mix of the marked red, blue and yellow routes, and we start off on the red route, which you can find here at the bottom of Station Drive. The access road's about halfway down Station Drive, just opposite the adventure playground, using this signposted access route, and there is a map. There's maps available of all of these walks. They're all way marked. There's lots of signposts everywhere around the trails, and the maps will help guide you as well if you want to follow along. You get some really good views down the valley and the village of Abergynolwyn from the start of this route. You can see all the way down towards the Talyllyn Lake, although you can't actually see the lake itself, it's a bit too far away. This section of the path actually follows the railway. You can see the Talyllyn Railway up above you there on the right hand side. I'll talk about that more shortly. And yeah, it's a very nice, easy start to your walk as you head off into the forest and down the valley. Okay, so this first bit of the trail is a little bit on the narrow side. So we make our way. We've got the village over to the left, down there in the valley. You can see around the trees. And up just above us, about 20 feet, is the railway. And very shortly we're going to be coming up onto our first kind of major landmark. And that landmark is of course Forestry Crossing. This is where the access road up into the woodlands up there crosses the railway. Abergynolwyn Station is down that way. So up trains will be travelling this way. And this is one of only a few crossings on the railway. It's also the only one that has lights controlling it. So a little bit of interest there. It's just to carry the logging wagons. Logging wagons come up here. And we're going to be walking up that road. That's where the trail goes next. It's not that steep, but we'll see how we get on. And if you time your walk perfectly, you may even get to see one of the Talyllyn's vintage trains passing over the crossing. The Talyllyn Railway was built to serve the quarry that we're actually heading towards, so it's all intertwined together. The railway's here because of the quarry. 155-ish years it's been operating. A really brilliant piece of Victorian engineering, is still going strong. I've been associated to the railway for the past 31 years. That's how long my connection goes back here. 2020 has not been the best year. Obviously, with coronavirus, everything's been restricted and locked down, but the railway is now operating again. It's definitely the best way to see this part of the world. Come and have a ride. Come and have a visit if you're in the area. You do need to pre-book though, so please visit the website, pre-book your tickets. Brilliant way to see the valley. I can definitely recommend it. Okay, so climbing the road up from the crossing. One word of caution: if you are walking this route, this is an active road. It's used, as I said before, by the forestry. Well, it's not the Forestry Commission now; it's Natural Resources Wales. But they're big logging wagons. It's a managed forest, and the big logging wagons use this road. So you do need to be a little bit careful if you're walking up it. Keep the kids in check. It's a little bit steep, but it's not too bad. It's not too long either, and you do get rather a nice view down over the valley. Obviously there's quite a few trees there. You can see it with your eyes better than I can on a camera, but believe me, on a nice day it's definitely worth it. So I'm going to carry on up this hill and I'll meet you at the top. Okay, welcome to the top of that little climb. We're going to go left into the forest and head off into the trees and the mountains. Okay, so carrying on following the red route, which is called the Station Link Path, by the way, if you spot that on any of the maps. The big hill is the more strenuous bit. It gets a little bit easier on this section. It's fairly flat, fairly wide, but there are a few big puddles that you will encounter that you just need to find your way around, and it can get a bit muddy around the edges as well. So good pair of walking boots
definitely a must. You really do need to be prepared for this, even this relatively simple section. But it's worth it. It's nice and peaceful up on this section. You don't get too many people. You'll hear the wildlife, you'll hear the birds, and you'll hear the flow of the little waterfalls. Only a couple of these dotted down this route, but it's a nice, peaceful place to be as you head further up into the mountains.
Okay, so not too long. I've probably been going for about 10-15 minutes from the top of the last hill. We're in a little clearing. Unfortunately, you can't really see a lot from here because of the tree line. But you can sort of see where I am. If I do a little pirouette, and obviously we're going to carry on following the red markers. So we're going this way. It starts to get a little bit narrow again as we head past the marker and back into the forest. Okay, so we are at a bit of a diversion point here. This is officially the end of the red station link path. If you're going to follow the station link path, you need to go down that way, down to the left, and that will take you down Alpswet Incline. And I'm going to apologise in advance, well, not in advance because I've already said it, to any Welsh viewers, because I know I'm not quite saying that right. But that incline is very steep. It used to be a working incline. I'm going to explain that in a minute. And that takes you down to Nant Gwernol Station platform. However, that's not where I'm going. I am going up there to the right. And that takes us to the top of the incline. And when we get up there, which isn't very far, there's something quite interesting. Right, okay, so I'm at the top of the incline. You can tell I haven't done this for a while because I am absolutely knackered. But anyway, I'm going to give you a little bit of a story of this. It's a bit of a heritage kind of site here, and I've been pleasantly surprised by something I wasn't expecting. If I flip this around, here we are at the top of the incline, and you can actually see the whole way down it. This used to be covered with foliage and ferns and trees and all sorts of things. Looks like it's all died off, all been cleared away. And you can actually see the whole way down the incline. So you can see the path. That's the path that came in from the left. And you can see where it carries on down the hill. And you probably can't quite see the station right down at the bottom. But that is the Alpswet Incline. And you can see the rails at the top. I come back a little bit. You can see the rails. This used to be a gravity worked incline. Used to have loaded slate wagons on one set of rails and empties on the other at the bottom, and the weight of the ones at the top going down the slope used to pull the empty ones up. They were attached to a cable, and the cable ran around a drum which is all the way up there in that winding house. You can just about see the remnants of the drum, this wooden drum, and you can see some cable just about wrapped around it as well. If I zoom in, hopefully you can see it a bit better. And the cable used to go around that drum, and all these mechanical linkages you can see here is a braking system. And that used to allow, with this lever, that you can just about see here at the bottom, the brakeman to control the speed of the wagons going down and up the incline by putting a brake on the drum at the top. So this is a little bit of a remnant of the slate workings around this area. Obviously they used to bring the slate from further up where we're headed to here, and then drop it down the incline to join the railway in a freight yard where the station now is at the bottom. So that's how that used to work. And if you do come up here, there is actually a little bit of information explaining it all, and there's a few of these dotted about, these quite cool little things which will tell you, in the words of some of the people, the stories around this part of Wales. I'm not going to play it for you now. If you want to hear it, you're going to have to come up here and play it for yourself. But yeah, cool little area. We're going to carry on. So we're not going to go back down the incline. We're going to carry on this way, past this little hut, as used to be. As with a lot of the huts around here, bits of the wall remain, the floor remains, but the roof as long as it's gone. And we are going to carry on that way.
Okay, so we're now following a ledge. This ledge is up above the Nant Gwernol, the river that flows through this area, and it's down. That's down below us. You'll be able to hear it as you walk down here. You'll be able to hear the birds as well. It's a pretty peaceful place to be. Just keep following this path. There is only the one. You're not going to get lost, so don't worry about that. You can see the Nant Gwernol there flowing down below us through the tree line as it flows over the rocks. Now this used to be a tramway, that's why it's so flat and so wide. Horses used to draw wagons down here towards the incline from the quarries, and there's the odd little reminder as you make your way around here that you'll find buried in the undergrowth of the industrial past of this section of the route.
Okay, so I've come a little bit further along. I've come from that away behind me. I spin round. That's the direction I've come from. And here we're in a little bit of a clearing, and this is another incline. This is where there was another incline coming down. You can just about, if I flip round, you can just about see the avenue through the trees where it once ran. Pretty dangerous place. Please don't try climbing up there if you do come up this way, and please don't go trying to climb down from the top if you can find it. It is a bit of a dangerous slope. But again, that used to be another incline, and that used to bring down wagons down to here on this flat where I'm standing, and from there they would head down that way, which is where we just came from, off towards the other incline. It's actually quite a nice little spot, this. If we have a swing around to this direction, we've got a bridge and we have some waterfalls. Okay, so I've crossed over the bridge, so I'm now on the other side, and I'm on the lower side of the ravine, and I am sitting on what I like to call the thinking bench. This is a nice little bench, and I'd like to thank Geoffrey Woodward and Nellie Woodward, because this is who it's dedicated to, for having this bench put here in their memory. It's a really nice place to come and sit, and I really enjoy just sitting here and listening to the waterfall, listening to the flowing water, just watching the bridge. It's a really nice, peaceful place to come and sit. Unfortunately though, the bench hasn't survived lockdown very well. When I came here just before lockdown, it was really nice and solid, but I've come here now and it's wobbling all over the place. I don't think it's survived the lockdown very well. Hopefully we'll get that fixed, but it's a really nice place to come. What I'm now going to do though is I am going to cross back over the bridge to the side that we were on before, and I am going to make my way up the hill. Okay, so scrub what I just said. After looking at the map behind me, I'm actually going to carry on following the proper way markers, because I don't want to end up getting anybody lost if you're trying to follow this video. So I don't want to go random directions, because the route over there that I normally go up isn't actually part of any of the way marked paths. So there's no markers on it, and we're technically sort of going a bit off track. So I'm going to go up this way. So I'm on the side where the bench is. It's just behind me, just that shot. There you go, there's the bench. And the bridge is there, just so that you've got some idea of where I am. And I am going to go that away. So if I frown, you can see where we're going. Up a bit of a steep hill. This actually is one of my photographs. If you've ever looked at any of my photographs on my photography stuff, this is one of them. There is a photograph of these steps in there somewhere in my portfolio. So I'm going to go up this way. It's a little bit rugged, this. It's definitely not suitable if you have any kind of mobility problems. This particular section is very strenuous, but we're going to head up this way, and we should get some quite nice views from the top of the ravine.
Okay, so as you can see, this section of the route is definitely more strenuous. It is very narrow, very wet. It hadn't really been raining prior to this. You can just see this area just holds the water in. It's always a wet area as it gets a bit muddy, and it is quite steep. But you do get rewarded, as you can see here. We get a really nice view of this section of the, well, they're not really waterfalls, but you get the idea. It's kind of white water, and it's a pretty cool place to be. You get really peaceful. You just hear the running water, and you can see all the trees that have fallen into it as well. And a few industrial reminders. This is a slag tip. It's a slate waste pile from the quarry that we're heading towards as we head further up the hill.
Okay, so one of the many hazards that you come across in the woodlands. we have a fallen tree. Luckily I think I can get past this one. There we go. And we're going to carry on. Quite a steep ascent now. We're going back on ourselves a little bit away from the water at the bottom of the ravine. I think very shortly we'll hit the top of this hill. Okay, so I've been climbing up and I've reached the next way marker, which is telling me to go that way. But I've had a little bit of a break before I go that way because it's even more climbing. It's another steep hill, but I think we're pretty close to the top now, so I'm going to keep going and hopefully we're going to hit what I think is a fire road not too far away up the top of this hill.
And it is nice, after all those steps, to be rewarded with a view like that over the forests and down the valley. And I was indeed correct. Here's a gate, and this leads us out onto an access road.
Okay, so I've reached the next bit of the path, which is this access road here at the top of the hill. If I flip the camera around, see where I've come from. I've just come from the other side of that gate, up that hill. As you can see from the way marker, we're going to carry on up this access road this way. And now we're pretty high up, and behind me is a pretty awesome view. That's the view back down the valley, and that is the where the railway is. That's where the railway runs. The railway's down below us, sort of off in that direction. And yeah, it's a pretty cool view from up here. And the sun's come out as well, which makes it even better. But right now I'm going to carry on up the hill, and we'll see what we see when we get to the top.
And some pretty awesome views from up here over the valley as well. And we don't have to worry about the mud as we're on this nice little road, but don't worry, we're going to be dropping back down very shortly. A few industrial past there, the slag heaps that you can see on the other side of the valley. And also the local residents, they'll keep an eye on you as well as you make your way along this top road. We're going to drop back down into the woods very shortly, but you do need to be a little bit careful exactly where you do that.
Okay, so I've gone on for a little distance and I've come here to a stile. I wanted to point this out because that's not the way you're going. If you're following the route I'm on, you do not want to cross over this. This takes you back down into the woodlands. I don't actually know where it ultimately goes, but that is not the way you want to go. What you want to do is keep going this way, and after a short little hop, or a hop, skip and a jump if you're so inclined, you will see just up ahead in the very little distance a tiny little blue sign poking out. That's where we need to be going, and you can see the vista here out over the valley. Look at that. That's an awesome view of the mountain range as we come over. You can see what I think are slag tips or spoil tips. So these are where the quarry dumped the waste rock that was extracted when they were trying to get out the slate. This is the waste. So it was all dumped. So the quarry is over that way. That's where we're headed. But yeah, interesting little thing there as we look. Nice little view. So we're going to carry on. You can see the blue marker there. So we're going to go down here. Sort of grass-covered pathway. We'll keep going. See where we end up.
And as we carry on following the grassy path, we'll see some more industrial reminders. Yes, there's an old building hiding away in the trees. No idea what it used to be, but it would have formed part of the quarry workings. And talking of the quarry workings, more slag heaps. These are basically piles of waste rock that would have come out of the quarry when they were digging for the slate. So these are all piled around this whole area. We're actually going to be crossing it very, very shortly.
Okay, so I've gone around the loop a bit further. I thought I'd just chill out for a minute by a waterfall, which I've found there's loads of waterfalls around this part of Wales. The water runs down off the mountain, and they're all heading down into that the Nant Gwernol, which is the river that we have been walking up. So this is pretty much the top of the ravine, and we're starting to make our way kind of that way round the back of it. And these are some of the feeder waterfalls and feeder streams. So that's kind of cool. Again, nice, peaceful, relaxing place to be. But you see, we're now starting to see around us all the kind of industrial heritage. We've got slag heaps over there, and I'm sitting on a wall, and this wall would have been part of the quarry workings, no doubt. So an interesting little place to have a stop for a second, I think. Okay, so just around from that waterfall, we're definitely in industrial territory now. With all these, it's a bit muddy. Let's navigate this without falling over. There we go, we made it. Okay, so we're going to go around a gate, and we've got what we got down here. That looks like an interesting place. Ooh, okay, so this, I'm going to guess, was a bridge. I would say that this was a bridge of some sort at some time in the past, perhaps. Is there possibly a platform over the top of there? Who knows? Who knows? That's half the fun of it, guessing all this industrial heritage. Okay, so I'm going to go through the gate. And obviously, remember, whenever you come through a gate, make sure you've shut and latched it behind you. Okay, so the way Marcus says this way, so this way we're going to go.
Okay, so me saying that this used to be a bridge or an embankment is a complete guess. I have no idea, but it certainly looks like it. It looks like it may once have carried the tramways of Bryn y Glywys. The track from here will make its way. It gets very narrow, as you can see. We're climbing uphill again, but we're going to find very shortly, buried in the woodlands, something quite interesting.
Okay, so a bit further around, and we've got something which the eyes have to see for themselves. It's a bit hard to get this on camera, mainly because of the trees, but there's a massive, great big ravine, a big cutting into the rock here. And you can sort of see, if I kind of pan around a little bit, it's really hard to see down there, but it's a really straight-sided cutting, and it does kind of make me think, is this man-made? Is this part of the quarry workings? Is it natural? I'm not sure, but it's a pretty cool thing. You can see it fairly close to this edge, but obviously don't go passing any of the danger signs or anything like that. It is a dangerous place, but it's kind of cool, kind of interesting. One of the sites that we find buried in the woodlands around this part of Wales, so pretty interesting little thing. Right, I'm going to carry on, see what else we come across as we go further around. Aha, oh joy, a bog. This is going to be fun. We do like a bit of rain, don't we? Slowly and serenely make my way round. You can't see what my feet are doing, but they are up. They are a good inch in the water. Hey, there we go, we made it. Right. Let me just pan down. Wait a minute, there we go. That is how deep that is. That's why you need good equipment when you're on one of these treks. Okay, I'm going to go over the stile. I think it's probably going to be the easy way of doing it. Oh, okay, so that bit was twice as deep. What a time to discover that your shoes are no longer waterproof. Oh, I can have wet feet all the way home now. Welcome to the quagmire. That was fun.
Okay, so having made it through my quagmire, unfortunately things got a little tricky. I met quite a sizable family group coming the other way, and with coronavirus restrictions, obviously a bit of logistical finesse was required to pass each other. So I did miss filming a little bit of a key turning point. This pathway, this very narrow muddy track, disappears off to the left-hand side. Follow the blue way markers. They'll get you where you need to go if you're following this route, and it will bring you down this track. It gets very narrow, very muddy. This section obviously is not used by many walkers, but what it does is it takes you all the way to the very, very top. Things get a bit narrow, but we are now heading right to the top. This is what remains of the Bryn y Glywys quarry. You're rewarded at the top with some fantastic views, another audio device that you can listen to, and some more information boards to tell you all about the history of the area. Okay, so welcome to the quarry.
This is pretty much, hopefully, as high as we get, but this is the quarry. This is where the slate used to be brought from the ground. There isn't very much left. It stopped operating, 80 years ago? Possibly even more than that. But this is the whole reason for the railway's existence, and what brought settlements and people to this part of Wales. And you can see this way looks quite flat, looks like level. I reckon that may have been a tramway or certainly a level at some point. If I swing around this way, more slag heaps, small buildings. Over in the distance there's actually what looks like a winding building, and we've got a building there in front of us, and the track on the trail that we're on goes that way. So that's the direction we're going to be going in as we head off.
But before we head off, there is the audio device that you can listen to there, get some stories from the quarrymen of Bryn Lewis, and also the information board to learn a bit more about the quarry as well. The quarry is pretty much a ruin. There's a couple of buildings still standing, but most of this is just the remnants of the industrial past. It's not a particularly safe place to go, though. It's pretty unstable. The quarry closed because the working started to collapse, so please don't cross the fence, don't try and climb over any of this. It isn't particularly safe, but it's a great view. You can observe the remnants of the past up here, and you get a great view over the valley as well, over the hills, when it's a nice sunny day. And after we've finished admiring the quarry view, we can make our way, carry on down the trail, and this is the point where we're going to start looping back round on ourselves. These are the pine forests of Nant Gwernol. We're properly heading into the pine trees now. We've kind of been skirting the edge of the forest up to this point, but now we're going to head through them properly. A bit more industrial heritage there, with some old slate archway almost that's now missing its roof. But the pine forests, pretty springy underfoot actually. There's only one clear trail to follow here, so don't worry about getting lost. Just keep following this track and you can't go far wrong. The track does start to double back on itself. You can see we're going to make a pretty sharp turn to the right. Now we're heading back down the other side of the valley. We've kind of made our way over the Nant Gwernol. That's where that waterfall was, a little bit further back. And as we make our way here, this is actually another incline. So we're heading steeply downhill here. It's not necessarily very obvious in the video, but we're heading down another incline. There's a building at the top of it. And we're going to start making our way back down again, having climbed up. But as we do that, things get a little bit awkward and a little bit slippery.
Okay, so heading down this incline, it's suddenly got a little bit muddier. So I've broken out my trekking pole just to help me stay stable coming down here, in case anything suddenly gets a bit slippery. To be fair, I don't think it's going to happen suddenly. I can see that it's going to be a bit slippery. So I'm using this to kind of feel the ground before I tread on it, so I know what's going to happen. Another useful bit of kit to have with you.
And having safely made it down the muddy section of the slope, we get to the bottom of the incline. There's actually another audio device there. I did play that one, I don't know what's on it. But you can see that how steep that incline actually is that we've just come down. And now we're back on the forest roads again, so we're going to keep following the blue way markers. There are posts telling you which way to go whenever there's a road junction. And just keep following this road, nice and easy at this part of the walk as we follow this down, back down through the forest.
Okay, so descending back down this road, the valley is coming back into view again, so we're definitely heading back the way we came. I've been going for about 2 hours, by the way, at this point. We're just under 5 kilometres that I've walked. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to look that up and pop it on the screen as to what that is in miles, because I don't know off the top of my head, and my watch is in kilometres, so I've got no idea what it is in miles. But we've got a fair distance, 2 hours, 5 kilometres, and about a 300 metre elevation change. Well, it's a bit less than that, but not too much less. So we've climbed quite a long way. We're now descending again, so we should be starting to come down, but some of these descents could well be as steep as the ascent, so we're going to find out when we get where we're going. But okay, so we've reached a junction in the road, and just to prove the point, you have to be careful. A car has actually just come up here. I don't know where it's going. I'm assuming it's one of the farmers. Locally, there are obviously a lot of sheep around here. We've seen a couple of modern farm buildings. This is where we're going now, so we're coming off the road and we're plunging down a little narrow track. Now the good news is, at this point, I actually know where I am. Well, I've known where I am the whole way through, to be honest, but I've never actually walked the full loop all the way up to the quarry. That was a first for me. But this section, I do know. I've been up here before, so I kind of know where I'm going now. So let's descend back into the woodlands and make our way back down to the bottom of the ravine. More industrial heritage. Another derelict building. Now, I've seen this building before. Whoa, my gimbal's a little bit wayward. I've seen this building before. I'll switch to a wider angle, so hopefully you can see it a bit better. I don't know what this used to be, but it's absolutely enormous. And this is one of the largest buildings that I've come across on the walks around here. I'm pretty sure this is quite close to the top of an incline. The incline, in fact, that we saw way back at the bridge. We're making our way back around towards there now. And I think this may have been either a storage shed or possibly even stables, because they used to use horses on the level tramways, not on the inclines, but on the level tramways. So it could have been something like that. But yeah, another interesting bit of industrial heritage buried in the woodlands. Okay, so we're back down to the river and we're back to another bridge. This is not the same bridge we've already passed, this is a different bridge. And this crosses the river a little bit further up, a little bit higher up the mountainside. It's the same kind of design, part of the same structure. These walks were put together in the 70s and 80s, although I suspect a lot of these structures have been renewed a bit since then. But yeah, if we have a look around, it's actually kind of interesting woodland scenery. Have a look downstream, you can see the valley. Pretty picturesque views down here, really nice place to be. Again, really peaceful. Okay, so on the other side of the bridge, so the bridge is now behind you over there, that's the way I came. So we now have to make a decision. We've got two options here. We can either go, if I flip the cameras, we can either go up the hill that way, or take the short route that way through the woods. Now, I'm not going to lie, I've never done the long route, and I have no idea how much longer it is. It's now 3:30, in fact nearly heading towards 4 o'clock. So I'm sort of getting ready to hit the end of the day. I don't know how much longer that long route is. So I'm going to stick to the short route. I know it, I've been there before, I know how long it's going to take me. So I'm going to stick to the short route today, but I'll probably come back and explore the long route on another day. So let's head the short way. So we're going to take a right, and we're going to head back down through the forests, and we should find ourselves back where we started very soon.
Yes, so this section of the trail, we're now heading back into the pine forests on the other side of the river. And again, you can see it's a little bit wider here, but it's quite undulating. We've got the stream and the river running right next to us, so it's again a really nice place to be. You can listen to the sound of the water. As we make our way back down this trail, things are, though, about to get a little bit trickier. Things get a little bit bumpier here, and then we've got, well, it's a little bit of a helter-skelter, this next section. I'm not going to lie, it's quite fun.
Yeah. Okay, so steep rocky descent now, a little bit undulating. We've got, I call this the S-bends that we've got coming up here. So this is quite an interesting little thing. It's been done as part of constructing the trails, again, way back in the 70s when these were put together. And it's to lessen the steepness of the slope. As we head back down to the valley floor, we're going to go around a few bends. Steps as well, it does help, but do be careful around this way in the after heavy rain. This thing turns into a waterfall. If you do see water torrenting down here, I'd probably avoid going any further, if I'm completely honest, because it really does turn into a bit of a waterfall. You can see we've got the river again next to us. Oops, that's the end of the S-bends. And we're now going to descend back down here very shortly. You'll see something that you recognise. And yes, here we are, we've come full circle and we are back at the bridge. There it is. There's the bridge with the thinking bench in the background. So we've gone a complete loop, so we went all the way up that side, we've gone all the way around, we've crossed over the back of the ravine at the quarry, and we've come all the way back down the other side again. And now we can either go back down on the same way that we came, on this side of the ravine, retrace our steps, or we can cross the bridge and go the other way, so left past the bench, which brings us back down the other side of the ravine and into the station. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to cross over and I'm going to go back down the other side of the ravine. So without further ado, let's cross over the bridge, and I'm going to head past the bench to the left, and we're going to make our way down the other side of the ravine.
So passing back by the thinking bench, this time we're going to head down the trail mirroring the one we came down right at the start, but this time on the other side. We're much lower down. Unfortunately, at this point my battery started to go on my camera, so I didn't manage to film much of this trail, but it's pretty much as you see here. A little bit narrow, it's not too strenuous, there's a few little ups and downs, but it's relatively straightforward. A few little streams flowing into the main river as well. It's nice again, very peaceful, lots of wildlife around, a nice place to come for a walk. This section does get a little bit busier. See our canine friend up ahead of me there as well. But yeah, really nice place to come, a little bit less strenuous this section as you mirror the river.
Okay, so we've climbed to the end of the trail. Now we've got two directions to go in. Now if we go off to the right, up that way, that takes us to the village of Abergynolwyn. So that drops us down into the village. So we climb up a little bit and then we drop back down into the village. If we go down this way, down the steep steps, that takes us onto a bridge. It's a very long and lovely bridge. And down there, that takes us back across to the station. So that's where I'm going to head. And then we're going to end this trek with a climb up that incline we saw way back at the beginning. It's always a steep one, so that could be a fun experience with all this gear that I'm carrying, but never mind. So yeah, we're going to head over the bridge and then we'll hit the station at the bottom. Okay, so just descending the steps down to the bridge. They are a little bit of a waterfall today. Very muddy. They're made of slate, so they're a bit slippery, so if you are out this way, take your time. Now, at the top of the hill, I very confidently said that path goes to Abergynolwyn, and I think it does, but that one might well do as well. So I might have to check that and double check which one actually goes there, and they might both do it, you never know. But anyway, we're going to go this way. Okay, so I don't need to go and Google it. There is a sign, very helpful. It's obviously designed for people coming from the station, not random walkers coming from the other direction. That way, down there, goes to Abergynolwyn village. So ignore what I said at the top of the slope. I don't know where that goes, but that definitely goes to Abergynolwyn. But anyway, we are going this way. Back over the bridge, which takes us into the station.
And as you can tell from the plaque buried in the wall, 1980, 40 years since this bridge was opened to allow you direct access to the forests, to be able to explore them for yourselves. Starting from Nant Gwernol Station, that's where we are now. We're heading back onto the end of the platform at Nant Gwernol Station, at the bottom of the incline that we saw way back at the beginning of the video. So that's where we now are. Nant Gwernol Station is a great place to start your walks from if you don't want to start them from Abergynolwyn. It never actually used to be part of the operating railway back before the preservation era and tourist traffic. This used to be a freight yard. You never saw the passenger carriages up here. They used to bring the slate wagons, shunt them all together, take the loaded slate down to Abergynolwyn to join the passenger train, and then it was taken down to Talyllyn Wharf, where it was sold and shipped onwards for roofing houses around the country. So that's what the slate used to be used for. These days, of course, the Talyllyn Railway's passenger trains make their way up here. They come all the way up to Nant Gwernol, so you can start your walks from here if you so wish. And of course, if like me, you may want to grab some photographs. I've got loads of photographs that I've taken up here over the years. This one is one of my favourites. It was shot on film as well, just to add a little bit of extra interest to the journey. And at the end of the platform, you can see all the way markers just to get you going. We're going to follow the red route. Obviously, we now go back the other way, which means climbing up the incline, and you can see how steep this thing is. It's pretty difficult.
Okay, so we are coming up from the station. Station's behind me. and we're climbing up the Alphabets incline. Now this is the only incline of any of the original inclines. Actually, that's a lie, because we came down one earlier on, didn't we? This is the only one of the bigger inclines that you can actually climb up. It's quite steep though, so if you are climbing up here, do take your time. This lower half is just smooth slate track, and you can actually see the winding house just about through the trees at the top, because you never used to be able to. That was all undergrowth. But now you can actually see all the way to the top of the incline, which is kind of cool. Now when you're doing this at the end of your trek, it really does knack your legs up. Okay, so we're nearly at the top, and you can now very clearly see the winding house that we saw way back at the beginning. So we really have gone full circle. And there we have it, we've come full circle. I'm back at the top of the incline by the drum house, right, that we had at the start. A steep incline, you can tell, can't you? But anyway, there we have it. So that's about 6 kilometres. It's taken me about 3 hours. Really good afternoon out in the woodlands. Really nice place to explore. So I'm going to say thank you very much for joining me. I hope you found the video inspiring, and I really hope that you find the time to come out here and explore this area for yourself. It's a really great place to be. So I'm going to say, I'm going to go and have a sleep now. I'm going to say thank you so much for watching. Wherever you are in the world, take care, look after yourselves, stay safe, and I shall see you again, hopefully out here, very, very soon.
Thank you so much for watching until the end of the video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please remember, hit the like and the subscribe buttons if you did, and check out the other videos on the channel as well. I'm going to be producing a lot more of these kinds of videos, so I really hope that you do find them useful. Until next time, please take care of yourselves wherever you are, and I shall see you again very, very soon.